if we're ever going to hope to close the vocabulary gap, and there is a huge vocabulary gap that's present when the day the kids walk into kindergarten between more advantaged and less advantaged children, I think we probably need to go beyond just ensuring that they get an opportunity to read widely and that they have access to lots of interesting texts, and include a more explicit vocabulary component into our lesson planning.
And all of a sudden, dun dun dun, he hears a tiny voice. And it says, "Salutations," said the voice. Wilbur jumped to his feet. What?" he cried. "Salutations," repeated the voice. "Where are they? Where are you?" screamed Wilbur. "Please, please tell me where you are. And what are salutations?"
We can teach them strategies when you come across a word you don't know. Sometimes the author gives you clues.
So here I was, as a third grader, just like you, and I read this word. I was really having a hard time understanding what it meant. What were some things that I could have done to help me really figure out that word? What are some things that I could have done? Charlie?
You could try to see what parts of the word you know.
I could see what parts of the word I know. So let's see. Salutations. Is there any part of the word that is familiar? No.
And sometimes it won't be a straightforward clue, but you could tell if there's an adjective used, particularly in a string of adjectives, or you've seen how this author has described the character before.
Marilla?
You can just keep on reading till it says, because on that it says salutations are greetings.
Oh.
And then it says it's just my fancy way of saying hello.
So are you saying that this is a clue, Marilla?
Well, it's a very good clue, because it tells.
Other times the authors will literally tell you what it means. The strategy, I think, that makes the most sense to me, both just from an experiential standpoint, but also from a research standpoint, is one that Isabel Beck and Maddie McCown at University of Pittsburgh have developed, in which they talk about three categories of words. There are the familiar words like bed and look and run and so on that we don't need to teach.
As usual, there are some words in this book that we might not know the meaning of them, right? So we are going to explore the words together.
There's a second level of words which appear often enough in print and in normal daily conversation or on the TV news that we probably do need to teach. Words like freeway, hurricane, a word like democracy.
The first word, reassuring, we are going to figure out the meaning of that word, right? Now, what did the mom say? She said, "You'll see. You'll like your new school." So what is the mom trying to tell her?
Then you have a third level of words that are highly technical words, unicameral legislatures and words drawn from chemistry or biology that are pretty unique. And those you leave up to the biology teacher and the chemistry teacher and so on. The focus would be on those second tier words that aren't so common that most kids just already know them.
Is there anybody that still thinks it means something different?
Like reassuring, like making sure that she's gonna feel happy. Like sometimes moms want to make their kids feel happy, and like convincing her that she's gonna do good.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily draw from an external list of words. Most of those words can be found in the kids' reading materials, in their science books, social studies books, the trade books, the literature that they're reading.
They get a new bone every other day or so. These bones are the center of much contention. We call them bone wars. Sometimes dogs clear across the kennel will hold their bones up in the air, look at each other, raise their hair, and start growling at each other, posturing and bragging about their bones. So these bones are the center of much contention. We call them bone wars. So what would you guess contention might mean? Bernard?
Me and Ricardo, we thought about candy, and if I have more than him, and then like he might get mad, and then like we might start a fight.
Okay, so you guys are connecting what happened here to a situation that might happen to you. So what would you guess contention might be if you guys got into a little dispute?
Conflict.
Yeah, conflict. These bones are causing some conflict, and these dogs are getting pretty feisty. But think
It's
about
amazing. I mean, you can develop 5 to 7 words in 2 10-minute lessons a week, and it doesn't have to be an add-on. It can be drawing the words from the materials the kids are dealing with, which will improve their comprehension and understanding of those materials. That's, I say, much in the same way that fluency doesn't have to be a separate lesson. Many of the commercial curricula teach just one real strategy, and it's a single letter decoding strategy, the traditional sound and blend. So you have the child who reads the word distant by going d, I, s, t, t, and then says it a couple of times and finally figures it out. The problem with that strategy is it's fine as a beginning reading strategy, but I worked with Pat Cunningham, who pointed out back in the late 70s that by the end of first grade, the middle of second grade, the kids who became good readers no longer used that strategy. They used a larger unit strategy. They looked at distant and went distant. They didn't do it letter by letter. The other thing that it's related to is volume of reading. In other words, the more kids read, the more exposures they have to these common onset rhyme patterns in English, and the more likely they don't have to slow down to recognize them. They begin to use what they know about other words to figure out new words they hadn't encountered before.
If I ever saw the word Egyptologist in a book before, learning it in school helped me, because if I saw it in a book before, I'd just be like, what does that mean? And then I'd probably say this book's too hard for me, and then I'd put it down and I wouldn't give it a chance. But now, since I know what Egyptologist means, I can read further in different books.
We teach kids this strategy. We start out with just words, big words on strips, and the strategy is tear off the front, tear off the back, see if you can pronounce the middle. If you can't pronounce the middle, tear it in half. Can you pronounce a chunk? And then you gradually put the two chunks together, put the end, put the beginning back on it, say the word, reread the sentence. And after a couple of days of tearing things apart, we tell them it's too messy, too expensive. So today, as you're reading, what we want you to do is just use your thumbs. Cover up the front, cover up the back. Can you pronounce the middle? If not, slide your thumb in. Find something, then gradually move your thumb off. And often, by the end of 10 days of instruction, they're no longer even using their thumbs. They don't need it anymore. They now have a strategy.
Where are you?
We're trying to figure out.
Which one?
Ecological disturbances.
Ecological disturbances. It sounds like you pronounced the first one, right? Does that sound good to both of you? So ecological disturbances. Do you know one of those words? What it means? You know what disturbance means? What does that mean?
It's if you have loud music and somebody's trying to sleep and they have to go to work the next morning.
Perfect disturbance, right? That's bugging you. It's a disturbance. So we've got the first word is ecological disturbance. Do you see any part of that word that you understand? The root word? Ecological. If you don't, that's okay, because we've got many more steps to go to. You don't. Okay, how about the context? Did you read before it and read after it? Why don't you start, where would you like to start? Let's see.
More hot days. More hot days.
Okay.
More hot days increases the possibility of heat-related health problems and directly ecological disturbances, air pollution, changes in food, water supplies.
As an author or an editor, I can say, well, here are some words I'm pretty sure kids won't generally know. But the words that kids generally know in Taos, New Mexico are different than the words they generally know in Boston or Duluth or Knoxville, Tennessee. And so to some extent, it has to be tailored to the children in front of you.
Well, remember yesterday I was showing you different words. I have another word for you.
Some of the best teachers we've watched have charts on the wall where kids go add a word. And the teacher takes a few minutes each day to talk about the new words that have been put up there, to have the child talk about it, maybe read a little bit of where the word appeared.
To goo.
Excellent.
Excellent.
We all read the same.
And sometimes they put up words they don't know, and sometimes words they just think are really interesting looking words. They can pronounce it, they figured out what it means from the reading. but it's just a new, interesting word. Good teaching, effective teaching, isn't highly replicable in the sense of how many minutes or you do this or how much attention you pay to this aspect of reading or that aspect of reading.
Salutations, such powerful words.
And if there's anything we've learned in 100 years of educational research, it's that one-size-fits-all instruction is literally anti-scientific. That teachers who are effective modify and adapt the core curriculum materials of whatever sort that they're given to meet the needs of the kids sitting in front of them.
I want you to think about that for next time. We'll continue discussing the impacts that we have on the environment, the impacts that we have on the environment.